Are we ready? Colonel Benson. Good morning. Welcome everybody to our hopeful second and hopefully last virtual Memorial Day ceremony. Before we get started, I'd like to bring your attention to the POW flag that's off to my right here. The American Legion puts up a POW flag at any event that they do to remind everybody to remember to try to bring home the remains of those missing in action who are no longer with us. This time I'd like to call up Pastor Jim Marcus from Trinity Lutheran Church to give our opening prayer. Please rise.
Please remember Jesus' words. Greater love has no man than this. He gave up his life for his friends. Our Father in heaven, may we take some time and pray. Remember the men and women who laid down their lives for those people, protecting innocent and guard our peace. We especially think of and remember those who are people. Thank you for their sacrifice. We pray for your comfort and peace to be with those who continue to love. We also thank you for the ultimate sacrifice of your Son Jesus, who gave his life for us that we could have peace. Bless our observance this day as we take time for you. For Jesus Christ, our Lord, we pray.
Please remain standing, and I would ask Cora Brandsetter to come up here and sing the national anthem.
Oh, and to see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight does sleep, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous sky, o'er the ramparts we watch, were so gallantly street. And the rocket's red light, the bolts bursting in, gave proof through the night that our flag was still. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave for the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Thank you. Be seated. Every year I try to come up with something new to say about Memorial Day when the topic hasn't changed. The last 2 years with the pandemic, I feel I've lost something, not being able to go on the National Veterans Awareness Ride and spread the message that freedom is not free. The ride ends at Arlington National Cemetery, 639 acres of a reminder of the price of our freedom. Every year, the group picks a 4-person detail to lay a wreath at the tomb of the unknown soldier. The tomb was passed in Congress on March 4th, 1921, to place a tomb of the remains of an unknown soldier from World War I. The group still did this part of the mission on Saturday. 2 of my friends from Roseburg that I've rode many miles with were asked to be part of that detail. Don Jenkins, a Marine Vietnam veteran, and his son, John. I can't help but think of what an honor it must have been for them. Yesterday, I was traveling down Highway 58, and I couldn't help but notice all the travel trailers, motorhomes, and boats going both directions. Hundreds of them out enjoying the beautiful weekend, the kickoff to summer. I just hope that they take a moment from the gatherings, barbecues, camping trips to remember the sacrifices that have been made to allow our freedom to exist. I'd like to end with a quote. Freedom has a taste, and for those that have fought for it, the taste is so sweet the protected will never know. That was from General George S. Patton. Today, our keynote speaker is Colonel Eric Benson, Cottage Grove area resident. Colonel Benson enlisted in the Army Reserves in 1983 after graduating from Sheldon High School in Eugene. He was commissioned in 1986 to ROTC and served in various Army Reserve units on the West Coast. His current position is Division Staff Officer for Personnel at the 76th Operation Response Command in Salt Lake City, Utah. Colonel Benson is scheduled to retire from the service in September of this year. Please welcome Colonel Eric Benson.
Thank you, Mayor Gowing and the citizens of Cottage Grove for the invitation to deliver the following Memorial Day remarks. Thank you also to the American Legion and Veteran and Foreign Wars members that are present and all veterans. Thank you also to Jerry Kearns, the adjutant of the Cottage Grove American Legion, for assisting me in outlining the following. So as I reflect on my own American experience as one of the younger members of the baby boom generation, I was born between 46 and 1964, and they come out of age when many of the teachers, business leaders, and the majority of politicians were veterans from the World War II, Korean, and Vietnam Wars. I can say I'm more humbled and appreciative of their experiences and sacrifices. I continue to see this in the soldiers I have the privilege to serve with in my last assignment as a staff officer in the division headquarters, as I meet young men and women who are in some cases younger than my own 2 sons, who've rotated through multiple deployments in the current global war on terror. I can think of neighbors on my own block where I grew up in Eugene, who are, over many years I came to know and learn of their accounts of service and sacrifice. And both now deceased, one a retired colonel who flew as a young pilot out of England, went on missions where 25 or so bombers would go out, maybe 6 or 8 would make it home. Across the street was a Korean Marine sergeant who I only learned in recent years was one of the chosen reservoir survivors. These men both went about their lives with humility, simplicity, and to this day, I try and appreciate their experiences and sacrifice more. And as my point is, the reality is many more sailors, soldiers, and airmen are amongst us, and they've served in larger conflicts to the present day conflicts. Maybe we never knew or know of their experiences. We acknowledge and want to thank them for their contributions today, Memorial Day. The following I read from the American Legion in a recognition of Memorial Day 2021. 30 years ago, America engaged in a new war in a volatile region, Iraq. Had invaded the sovereign nation of Kuwait. It was an act of aggression that could not stand. The U.S. led a coalition of 35 nations with a bold and clear mission to liberate an occupied country. Among the 500,000 U.S. troops deployed to the Middle East was Army Specialist Cindy Bodman.
She was a freshman at the University of Connecticut, and Specialist Bodwin enlisted in the National Guard and served as a medic with the 142nd Medical Company. The Harvard newspaper Current reported that the young specialist had chronic back condition that could have kept her home during the deployment. The daughter of a Vietnam veteran, Cindy would hear none of it. Of course I'm going, silly. I couldn't let my best battle buddy go off alone, she told a friend and fellow service member. On February 28, 1991, just hours after President George H.W. Bush declared a ceasefire to end the Gulf War, Specialist Bodwin was killed in action after a convoy struck a landmine. She was only 19. Like many soldiers going to war, Specialist Bodwin wrote a letter to be delivered to her parents in the event that she didn't return. In it, she said, "I did not come here to be a hero," she wrote. I came here because my country needed me to be here. And as much as I hate being so far away from home, I'm here with thousands of other soldiers helping to bring down a very deranged tyrant. If I should die while helping to achieve this, then I did not die in vain, unquote. Cindy Bodwin did not die in vain. Neither did any other American who we honor on Memorial Day. Nonetheless, wars are often unpopular, and there's a good reason for this. It was Civil War Union General William Tecumseh Sherman who said, "It is only those who've neither fired a shot nor heard the shrieks and groans of the wounded who cry aloud for blood, more vengeance, more desolation. War is hell," unquote. But we should always remember that decisions leading to war are those of policymakers, not the veterans themselves. Sometimes the mission is clear-cut. World War II, millions were liberated and truly evil regimes were toppled. The price can still be unbelievably painful, as Emma and Willie Labrick experienced. Jewish couple, they fled Nazi Germany from New York City with their two young sons in 1938. 7 years later, Bertie and Alfred Labrick made the supreme sacrifice for their new country while fighting the Germans in Europe. In his book, Brothers in Arms, author Kevin Callahan noted, "The memory of those two brave brothers who escaped Nazi Germany only to perish in its destruction lives on." That's why we're here today, to recall not just the memories of Cindy Bodwin and Labrick brothers, but to honor the sacrifices made by the 1 million heroes who died while defending this country since the American Revolution. And that sacrifice is painfully shared by the Gold Star families and close friends of those heroes. Most of us will not truly understand the depths of their despair unless we've experienced it. But we can always offer our support. We can wear the poppy. We can place flags and wreaths at their graves. We can donate to charities that provide for their families. And we can look at their surviving brothers and sisters in arms and say, "Thank you for your service." The American Legion recognizes that when rounds are coming your way, there is no such thing as, quote, "a small war." More than 1,600 Americans have lost their lives fighting in covert operations and Cold War battles that occurred between the designated war period since the attack on Pearl Harbor in 1941. And we honor their sacrifice as much as we honor those lost in the big battles such as Iwo Jima or the Frozen Chosin in Korea. For 100 years, the preamble of the Constitution of the American Legion stated our commitment to preserve the memories and incidents of our associations in the Great War. And then later, the Great Wars. This was a natural outcome for an organization that was founded by World War I veterans and then succeeded by equally committed World War II veterans. 2019, we changed our preamble and expanded the publicly stated commitment. We now promise to preserve the memories and incidents of our associations in all wars. We're here today to honor all of our fallen heroes in Fallujah in the Philippines, Quezon, Kandahar, Beirut, and Grenada. We honor American heroes from the American Revolution through the global war on terrorism and every battle in between. The location, it is not important. It is the hearts of these men and women that truly matters. It is the devotion within that led them to sacrifice their lives for the country we all love. It is hard for us, the living, to equate ourselves with those who made such a sacrifice. The surviving loved ones do not have to look very far to find their heroes. the specialist Bodwin wrote to her parents. When you start to miss me, look inside your heart, you will find me. We should all look in our hearts. We may not find our heroes, but we can examine what type of country that we live in. No matter what critics can say about America, can a nation that produces such remarkable men and women be anything but a force for good? Can we do more to create a country that is worthy of such sacrifice? Can we insist that our policymakers always consider the true costs of their decisions and only send men and women to war when all other options have been fully considered and exhausted? War is often not the best policy, but the heroes that wars produce are the best of America. God bless you. God bless America. Thank you.
Thank you, Colonel Benson. So traditionally, we read the names of the fallen soldiers from our area that have passed away in this last year, and we're going to go ahead and do that this year as well. Commander Christine Sweezy from the VFW will read the names and ring the bell for each soldier that's passed away in the last year. And there's 46 on there. When we do this in person at the armory, we would place a rose into the vase. We have a rose for every soldier that's fell. They're already in the vases up here, and family members that are waiting outside, please come take a rose with you when you leave today so you can remember your loved ones. So with that, Commander Sweezy, would you please start?
Hello. Kenneth Williams. James Theodore Dial. Donald Jr. Hargrave. Ronald Eugene Gillespie. Jack Burton Robertson. Christopher Bublitz. Billy Joe Dennis. Robert Scott. Odell Dunn. David H. Senior Boyer. Richard Dean Lamath. Joseph James Vispoli. Albert Henry Robach. Robert Joan Quick. Victor Patton. Danelle Zander. Robert Anderson. Carrie Lee Holster. Kevin DeGlarius. Lawrence Edward Emmel. Arlen Dean Davis. Mike John Pershin. Robert Hull. Thomas Lowry. Herbert Dean Cranmer. Gary Ellison Cooper. Douglas Savin. Robert Wallace Courier. Kenneth Leon Sears. Roy Wayne Smith. Kirk Reynolds. Howard Jenkins. Ronald Northway. David Campbell. Hans Mike Johnson. Michael Bivens. Timothy Jarrett. Jeffrey Mailer. Victor Wilson. Robert Armour. Glenn Bricker, Jerry Norcia, Zachary Dolan, Troy Lambert, Oliver Flood, and Richard Stacy. Apologies if I said any of those names incorrectly.
This time I'd call Pastor Marcus back up for closing prayer, and then we will adjourn from here and take a wreath out. Major Melvin Gowling Korean War veteran, will drop the wreath off the bridge, and a 21 gun salute will follow. Please rise.
Gracious God, thank you for this beautiful. Now we ask that you would guard and protect our atmosphere. We're thankful for this visit. We pray that we will not need to revisit here. Minimize and resolve conflict between people and nations. May to use each one of us as instruments of subjectives. Help us to use our freedoms for the good and benefit of others. For your good. Through Jesus Christ our Lord.